Today's topic of discussion is absent fathers. So I received a DM from a loyal subscriber. He asked me to create a video on absent fathers and how an absent father can have severe consequences on the household. So first point is guidance. A lot of boys and girls in today's generation are being raised by single mums. So they've got an absent father who's not in their life. So some of them are visiting their dad sometimes, and then there's other households, right, where there's pretty much no communication from the dad. So when it comes to guidance in life, we always look towards the person who's in charge and the person who's the leader of a household. So when there's no dad, right, at home, that can have severe consequences when it comes to guidance. So children are being left to fend for themselves. So they're going out and about. So let's say with boys, right, boys are being raised by other guys outside on the streets. And because they're not able to differentiate between good people and bad people, these guys here are getting sucked into bad street life and then just all the type of stuff that comes with it. So this was happening with certain guys who are growing up in single parent households because there's a lack of guidance. So you've got that side of it, but then you've also got girls, right, who are being raised without a dad, right, and they're not being taught the correct ethics and correct behavior and correct values as a woman. So these girls here are seeking validation and attention from other boys outside on the streets and guys who don't care about them. So certain guys, they end up using and abusing these type of girls because they're trying to fill their heart with love that they haven't received from their dad. So when there's no guidance at home, this can have severe consequences for all members in the household. So whether it's, the partner, so the partner doesn't have guidance from her husband, and then the children as well, because the children are being raised without a dad. So it goes back to it. In life, right, everyone needs guidance. So both men and women. So we've got a hierarchy, right? So we start at the top, which is God. So God is the one who dictates all the laws and rules in the universe and the world. And then after that, you've got the dad, who's the husband, so the father. He's next in the hierarchy. And then after that is the wife. So the wife and the partner. So that's the hierarchy there. So it starts off with God, husband, and then wife. And then after that is children. You understand? Because what happens is with the dad, right, he's able to instill certain ethics into his wife, and then his wife's able to teach that towards the children as well. So let's say with a girl, right, the husband, the dad, he's saying, it's really bad for a woman to be dressing provocatively and promiscuously, and a woman who doesn't cover appropriately. So with his partner, right, if it's a woman who's dressing appropriately, she covers herself, she's very likely to teach her children, her girls, so she's got daughters, right, who are going to be raised in that type of household. And then the daughter's going to be accustomed to that. And then she's going to have respect for her mum because her mum dresses appropriately. But you've got women now who are dressing promiscuously, and then they're teaching the daughters to dress the same way as well. It's the same thing with guys, right? Guys who are being raised without no type of father figure, they ain't got no guidance there. So who are they taking guidance from? A lot of the times they're going to take guidance from the wrong set of people because they lack life experience. And this is something, right, which is going to be affecting all households, So any households, right, who haven't got a strong, dominant father figure at home, this is going to severely affect them. So in the previous generations, you had guys who were raised amongst other men. So let's say orphan children. So we look at, for example, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So his father had passed away before he was born. You understand? And then his mum passed away around when he was around 6 years old. And then with that, right, he was raised by his uncle. Do you understand? So he was raised by his uncle, and he was raised by other men in the community. And this is what it goes back to when it comes to guidance, and it goes back to masculine frame. That can only be developed around other masculine men. So it's really important to surround yourselves with the most masculine men in society. The guys who are doing the best, the guys who are always working on their purpose and their mission. Because the guys who haven't been raised with strong masculine men around them, they're going to be misguided, they're not going to be working on their purpose, they're going to be dossing, they're going to be just, deadbeats, loser type guys. So when it comes to an household, right, the dad, he's always going to instill firm discipline in his children. You understand? So that guidance side of it, discipline cannot be replaced by a woman. So a woman, she can do her side of it, she can teach all the, emotional side of it and then the nurturing side of it. But when it comes to strict discipline, that can only be learnt from a man. You understand? So especially when it comes to boys, right? So sons, they need to learn that from young age. So both boys and girls. It's not just for boys, because obviously this video here, my videos in general, they're mainly for men in society. So with guys, right, they need to be taught that. So strong discipline from a young age, and then they're much more likely to be productive. So next point is feminine. A lot of guys, right, in today's generation have become feminine and emasculated. So you got a bunch of beta males, right, who are running around misguided, lost individuals. They have no direction of where they're heading to. They're just going all over the place. They're always commenting on other people's content, getting involved in other people's business, chatty patties, you name it. These feminine boys, right, they ain't got no purpose. They ain't got no life. This is what it is. How can that be respected by women? How can that be respected by other people in society? So when you reverse the roles of masculine to feminine, guess what happens when it comes to that guy getting into a relationship? He pushes the woman to start behaving masculine. That woman ends up starting to behave outside of her natural nature. So you see certain girls, right, complaining in today's society. They're saying that we're having to behave like a man because men are not stepping up. Men are not working on their purpose. Men are not prioritizing their mission. So that in and of itself has severe consequences for that guy and any person who he interacts with, any person who he has a relationship with. And then it's vice versa when it comes to a woman. Let's say a girl who's been raised without a dad. She hasn't been taught correct ethics of what a masculine man is, what a man of value is. So these girls here, they start to seek love from other guys in society, and they end up using and abusing them. And this doesn't just apply to people who have been raised in single parent households. It's not just these guys here. It's certain people who have been raised in, for example, mom and dad households, but then the dad is not really present in their life either. So you get in households like that nowadays as well, where the dad is just out and about, just working, doing whatever. And then when he's coming home, right, he's not teaching his kids any ethics, any type of discipline. He's just letting them crack on because he's so overwhelmed with all the other BS that's happening in the world, in society, whether it comes to news, whether it comes to, household bills, you name it. He's getting pulled at all these different directions. So this is why it's so important for men, any type of guy who has children, he needs to lock in and realize he's got responsibilities. He's got more responsibility now. It's not just him and his partner, it's him, his partner and children and other people who he's dealing with. So any other type of relationships he has. So whether it comes to his family, whether it comes to his friends, whether it comes to people at work, you name it. So that guy there, he needs to be a masculine man, because if he's not a masculine man, he's not going to be someone who's going to be a productive member of society. So it's really important. Next point is emotional. A lot of these guys, right, a lot of these beta males, they're very emotional. They have no EQ. They've got very little EQ. So EQ is social skills, emotional intelligence. They haven't got any emotional intelligence. So with my videos, right, these beta males, they keep commenting on my videos, yeah. So on Instagram, they'll keep commenting day in, day out. They watch all my stories. They send me DMs every single day. They're not working on their purpose. They're not working on their mission. They send all types of fat paragraphs to me. It's because these guys here are emotionally weak. They have no guidance. They ain't got no masculine frame. They're not able to take bits and pieces of information that's good. So in all members in society, right, there's always going to be something that you can pick up on. Bits and pieces of information. So this is what it is. There's a saying, never judge a book by its cover. So a lot of guys, a lot of these beta males, they're judging me based off of my appearance, based off of my haircut, or, my whiteboard, or, my flipping blinds. You name it. They're not taking in the information that I'm saying to them. It's falling on deaf ears. Reason being is because their hearts are sealed. And there's verses in the Quran which talks about this as well. There's no guidance that can be given to them kind of people. It's because these people here, there's a seal on their heart. They're not supposed to be guided. These guys, they are lost individuals. They're emotionally reactive. They ain't got an ounce of masculinity in them. They've taught, this is the thing, from a young age, right, they've been taught all these things related to money, status, fame, looking pretty on the outside, and so on. And then you've got someone like me who comes along and tells them that's all incorrect information. You should be prioritizing internal values and internal characteristics. And then now they're getting overly reactive. They're becoming emotional. They're starting to send me hate and fat paragraphs and sending me X, Y, Z. What does that tell you about these guys here? They ain't been raised by real men. They've been raised by weak boys. Yeah, they've been raised by other beta males. That's what the reality is. Because what happens is any real men that I interact with in society, I show them my content, I show them my videos. These guys here unanimously, they agree with my content. They're seeing it as this content is too raw for a lot of people, especially with today's generation. Fragile feelings, fragile egos. These guys here, they ain't got no ounce of masculinity in them. Overly emotional. And then when you're overly emotional, you're going to make poor decisions in life. So that's what's happening with these guys who are feminine boys. They're making poor decisions on a daily basis. They're not using their time on their purpose. They're not locked in on that. They're just focusing on me all day, talking rubbish. And all of these things here, they all turn women off. Women get icked out. They can't help it. Reason being is because God has programmed women to get a man who prioritizes his purpose and mission. So with these beta males, they're focused on the girls. They're focused on trying to chase after them, trying to get all these haircuts, trying to get money, trying to get status. And then when somebody tells them, that you've got poor ethics, you've got poor values, they start to become emotional. They start to become reactive. Because they ain't got no frame there. They ain't got no standards there. They ain't got no class, no morals, nothing. So each to their own, isn't it? Let them crack on. My content here is only going to be for the real men. My content ain't going to relate to majority of guys in society. So I knew full well, right, any content that I'm going to be posting, I'm going to get backlash from majority of these beta males. They talk all this rubbish on the internet. When it comes to in person, they don't say nothing. You know, they're all quiet and that. They're like little maggots. So, final point is generation. So from generation to generation to generation, masculinity's been dying because of absent fathers. It's because there's no masculine men in society. There's very few of them left now. This is what's happening. So this is affecting all generations now. So when you got an absent father who hasn't raised a set of children, these children are lost and misguided. And then they're going to be trying to get guidance from the wrong people. They're going to start chasing after the wrong things in life, chasing after the materialistic things, chasing after validation from other people. They're going to be caring about what other people think of them. They're going to be getting dictated by the system. The system's going to have them on their knees. You know, this is what's happening in today's households. Today's households have been broken down from men and women. So it starts off with the nuclear type household. So that whole infrastructure has been broken. Men don't know their role, women don't know their role. And this is affecting all the generations now. So you got, for example, guys, right, who are not being providers in their household. These same loser type guys, right, they're literally being pampered up from a young age. They ain't being taught to take on responsibility, to be taught discipline. They ain't been taught any discipline by their dads. The dads have just been pampering them, getting them everything they want. They got all this designer clothing, they got all these flipping holidays, you name it. They've never had to actually earn anything for themselves. And then they come with an entitled attitude, that get rich quick mentality, because they don't want to put in any work. Real men, right, they know full well it takes graft and suffering to get good results. You know, real men who have been raised with pretty much no comforts, they're going to be going out and about and getting what's needed. So that's what it is. This is why it's so important to have a strong masculine man at home. Because the masculine man is able to dictate and influence. Not dictate as in telling everyone what to do all the time and be abusive. I'm not talking about that. And that's not a good leader. A good leader is somebody who's able to influence people in a positive way. And he gives people the choice. So for example, with his partner, right? If his partner is not cooperating, he tells her, look, feel free to leave at any point in time. Because if you're not willing to follow me as a leader, you can go find someone else who you want to follow. Or you can go do your own thing. But the beta males, these guys here become needy and desperate. They start to beg and plead with a woman. They start to go back and forth with her. Start to argue with her. Now this goes back to it. A lot of the time they ain't been raised by real men. So just to wrap up, guidance. Guys in today's household, right, who've been raised with absent fathers or who have been raised by dads who are not really in their life, right? So they could have like their mom and dad at home, but the dad is not really communicating and he doesn't really have a good relationship with the son. That's going to have severe consequences when it comes to guidance. He's not going to have no guidance. He's going to be misguided by the system, by people outside on the streets, by other people who he interacts with. He's not going to know how to deal with people. He's going to have poor communication skills. He's going to have low EQ. He's going to be somebody who's going to be focused on other people. He ain't going to have no purpose, no mission. He's going to likely just be getting involved in intoxicants. So alcohol, drugs, fornicating, you name it. And the next point after that was feminine. A lot of these guys, right, who have been raised with single parent households, guys who haven't had a masculine man at home, they're going to very likely be feminine. That's why you got all these feminine boys. They're prioritizing running to the barbershop every week, but they're not prioritizing internal raw masculinity. They're really, really feminine. So when a woman sees that as well, she gets turned off, she gets icked out. Because a woman needs to see that this guy here is grinding. He's on his purpose, he's locked in. He's always pushing forward. And then it's a woman's job to try and look pretty for him. But these beta males are trying to look pretty all day for the woman. And then this beta male is not doing anything in his life. He ain't got no purpose, he ain't got no mission, he ain't working towards nothing. He's focused on other guys all day long. What sort of life is that? It's like, these guys here, they ain't got no life, cuz. You know, they live miserable, pathetic lives. You know, a guy with an ounce of masculinity, yeah, he'd look at himself and realize that, what am I doing right now? I'm just in other guys' DMs. I'm commenting on other guys' content every single day. It's been like 3-4 weeks and I've had the same beta males talk rubbish. It's because these guys here are feminine. They ain't got no masculine frame within them. And it only proves my point even more, my content. Because the way they're behaving, right, it's really showing their true colours. And you think women are not clocking onto this? Women are literally on the sidelines watching, day in, day out. They're watching these guys here. That's why I don't blame certain women who are literally slapping these guys up with divorces. They're rinsing them of their assets and so on. It's because these women here don't respect these guys. Because these guys here ain't got no masculine frame. They ain't got no purpose. They ain't got no mission. They're not working on anything. They just talk rubbish all day. Literally, these guys here, they ain't got no life, cuz. That's what it is. They ain't got no life. Now, a guy with a life, right, he's going to be constantly busy, constantly working on stuff, constantly doing things. He ain't got time to just chat rubbish all day on the internet, come back every single day just to talk rubbish. And the next point after that was emotional. So that's what's happening with guys today. They're so emotional, they're so reactive. They can't take bits and pieces of information from certain people. So everyone you come across in life, there's certain bits and pieces of information you can take. That's what a wise man does. A wise man's able to take information from other people and use that information and utilize that towards his own benefit. But these beta males, dumb, ignorant beta males who are emotionally reactive, they're not able to do that. They ain't able to come up with logical reasoning and logical decisions. So when they see, for example, other people's content, they'll just hate that guy. They'll despise him because he doesn't look a certain way or he doesn't fit the description of what's in their head. They're not able to get this good information. But that's what it goes back to. Not everyone's going to be guided. Not everyone's supposed to learn the correct information. And the final point was generation. So that's what's happening in today's society. Masculinity is being dying from generation to generation. Got a lot of absent fathers, and then they're raising boys, and then they're doing the same thing as well. They're not picking quality women. They're fornicating with low quality women. They end up having kids, and then those kids are misguided as well. You know, certain guys, right, they're hooking up with girls who are going to like shisha lounges, girls who are chatting to other guys, picking dirty, low quality women. Is because they ain't been taught by other men that you need to prioritize your purpose and mission and stop chasing after these dirty, low quality girls. You know, you get certain women who are women of value, you know, they're going to be very few in numbers in today's society. That's how it is, unfortunately. It's because majority of households are being raised by beta males, guys who are feminine, guys who are emotional, and they're raising daughters, right? And then they're being controlled by their wife. The wife's calling all the shots. She's telling him everything, making all the decisions in the household. And that's affecting all these other generations after that. That's what they say, happy wife, happy life. That's the most stupidest quote that ever existed. You as a man, your job isn't to make a woman happy. Since when has that been your priority? Your priority needs to be purpose and mission. Yeah? So happy purpose equals happy life. If you want to write that down as a quote or something. Your quote in life should be your purpose. So your purpose and your mission. And then a woman's going to be happy with that as a result of it. Because she sees that this man here is always prioritizing his mission. He's always trying to provide value to society. Trying to provide value to his wife. Trying to provide value to his children. To his family and so on. That's what a real masculine man does. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.